Tell you what, it just continues to intrigue. I think we've all agreed. We may not know what the stories are, but man, it just feels like it's a year where so much is going on behind the scenes. I bet, for instance, Dibs, I bet that a guy like Anthony Slater, I bet you know all kinds of stuff you can't tell us, huh, Anthony Slater, our Warriors insider here on Willard and Dibs. Like all you got to do is say yes or no. Is this one of those years where there's just a lot going on behind the scenes?
Yes, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's too abnormal in the league. I mean, the Durant final season with the Warriors, the Durant final season I covered in Oklahoma City, there was some stuff. So, yes to your question, but I don't think that it's like too different.
I guess the big question that we all have had, Mark and I and the guys behind the glass and the fans, is there a divide between the veterans wanting to go for a championship and the young players' ability to come in and actually help them win a chip this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it goes back to a couple years ago. Remember they had the Kelly Oubre season where Wiseman was in and out of the starting lineup. He was a rookie. They had Alan Smiley, Cherrick Pascal, various younger guys. And then I don't know if you guys remember the exit interviews that season. They had lost the play-in to Memphis, didn't make the playoffs. And all Steph and even Bob Myers came to the podium and said, veterans, got to add veterans. You win with veterans. That's how you win. They did add veterans last season and hit on them, which was the big deal. You get Gary Payton at the minimum. You get Otto Porter at the minimum. And the interesting part about the Payton one is the veterans wanted Avery Bradley because he was proven. They went with Payton, and the front office won that little mini battle, I guess you would say. But it worked. They won the title. They pivoted more young this year with a belief. And if we all go back to the summer, I was part of that belief. I think even some of the veterans and the coaches were part of the belief that Moody was ready. Wiseman could fill a backup center role. Kuminga was ready. Then they went 3-7. And I do think that the early pivot point of the season was when they were 3-7, the urgency ramped up. And they didn't expect urgency 10 games into the regular season. They expected a much longer runway to give James Wiseman, to give Kuminga, to give Moody more of a growing ground. And then by the time they're 3-7, they freaked out like, hey, we're getting behind in the standings. And suddenly it's Anthony Lamb is in, Ty Jerome is in. And that's where I think the season really turned into what it's become, which has kind of been a roller coaster ride to now.
No doubt about it. Anthony Slater with us here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Anthony, Dante DiVincenzo, like he's got to opt out, right? And is there a way for the Warriors to get involved in bidding for him if it does play out that way?
Well, it's difficult because, and I don't have my CBA sheet in front of me right now, but, they don't have his bird rights, non-bird free agent, so you can't just pay him whatever, like you could if somebody you've had for several years goes into free agency. So I believe it's, the most they can give him is like, the average salary in the league, which I think is up towards like $10 million or like 120% of his current salary, like a raise of 20% essentially. And he's at 4 point something. So, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to do the quick math here, but we're talking, 6-7-ish million. So to me, it just depends on what type of offer he gets. If somebody really wants to come in and give DiVincenzo, $14 million a year or something like that for 4 years because they think he's a really good young piece to grow for the future. That's just going to, not only for tax reasons, but just for CBA reasons, be very hard for the Warriors to match. So he may have played himself out of their price range, but we'll see because the market, he thought he was going to get a really nice deal from Sacramento last offseason, and then Sacramento gets hurt or they get Malik Monk, and they just kind of punt him away. That's how the Warriors got him in the first place. So you just never know how free agency is going to go, but he's been really good to the point if I am another team, I probably do give him a decent amount of change.
Yeah, he's been incredible for a team that's been shorthanded. One more contract question, and it's in terms of Klay Thompson. If they wanted to extend Klay Thompson, they can't take next year's amount and rework that into a longer-term deal, right?
So a little bit like they did with Wiggins, you could give him an extension that's at a lower number, right? Wiggins is making 31, 33, something like that. And then next year he goes down to like, I don't know, what is it, 24? I'd have to, again, I wish like I had my sheet in front of me today. But so Klay, you can extend him at a lower number, but you can't change next season's number, which is the big problem, right? He's going to make the 40-something next season. And by the way, and I understand this from Klay's perspective, he's not. Even if it was legal to give him a decrease next season, he's not taking it. Right? He's just guaranteed that amount of money. He's going to, willingly take it. So the tax bill problem, while it can be, I guess, alleviated beyond with Klay Thompson taking a pay cut, it can't be alleviated next season.
Anthony, while we're on Klay, this is an uncomfortable question for me to ask because I'm not a doctor, and I certainly love what this guy has done in his career and especially recently. But when I watch him do what he did over the last 4 nights and play 3 times, it just begs the question to me of why could he not get in there for more games sooner?
Rick Celebrini is extremely careful with the way he ramps these guys up. And, he frustrates the players at times. It certainly frustrated Klay. I remember in his first rehab, the tedious nature of it. But then he tore his Achilles partly because, and he's admitted this, that he played pickup basketball when he was a little heavier than he should have, and that led to the second disastrous injury. So he's bought into the more careful approach. Part of that more careful approach is, Klay Thompson probably came back last season a month later than he should have, right? He was playing scrimmage 5-on-5 full throttle basketball in I think it was early December last year. He didn't come back till mid-January. But he has, like I said, bought into whatever Rick Celebrini says, and part of that is just you're not playing back-to-backs for basically, what was it, a year after his comeback, and finally gave the green light right before the trade deadline. So to answer your question, sure, physically, and there was times Klay Thompson pushed for and wanted to play in the second night of a back-to-back, but Rick Celebrini would say, let's still hold off on it, and Klay Thompson agreed to it because his belief is a lot of Rick Celebrini's careful tactics have got him back to the point where he looks probably better than we all thought he ever would, coming off those 2 injuries.
Yeah, coming off 2 of his best months of his career. And in terms of the conservative nature of Rick Celebrini, Steph Curry, when can we expect him to reemerge and be back on the floor? And any update on Andrew Wiggins and his situation?
Yeah, starting with Curry, I did see him on the practice court yesterday pregame going through what seemed like a pretty normal speed, full speed individual workout. Again, he's not taking contact, which is a big step. Maybe when they put official reevaluation out on him Wednesday, a lot of times it'll come with he's now being reintegrated back into full team practice. So it's coming with Steph. He's getting closer, but I still probably wouldn't expect to see him this week. As far as Wiggins, this is about as private as I've ever seen an organization hold something that's going on with somebody's personal life, which is very fair by them. It's all we've been told pretty much is that it's a family issue he's dealing with. There are people within the organization, I'd say, that you guys might expect to know what's going on. Not even they do. I've had people come out to me and wondering if I know more than they do. And I don't, because it's just, it's just being held in a very tight circle and private. And it's something that, even as a journalist, that it can be tough at times, but you kind of got to allow privacy when people really want it when it comes to a family issue.
So, I mean, 0 cents, and I don't want to be, crass with that answer. We're certainly hoping for the best for the whole situation, but for fans that are hoping to see him again soon, I mean, is this something that's going to potentially go for a while?
Yeah, I don't know. So initially, he missed the game right before the break. He played, I think it was February 13th at home. He's not going to the game the 14th. He was ruled out very early, didn't make the trip to L.A., and that night, Steve Kerr says, he's dealing with, something privately, and we expect to have him right out of the break. Then, it seemed to be the surprise of them. It lasted longer, and then from what I've gathered, and this would have been, whatever, it was a Thursday game they played coming out of the break. Just talking to people then, it was don't necessarily expect him back soon. There's no timeline. Again, there's not many details being delivered, but it's just he's dealing with something, and he's going to tell us when he's coming back.
Wow.
So that's, again, I could go to the facility tomorrow and he could be there, and I wouldn't be too surprised, but also this could linger for however long, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that either. I really don't know.
Anthony Slater with us here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Anthony, what is going on with Bob Myers? What's happening here?
I mean, he's in the last year of his deal, and he's contemplating his future. And I think organizationally, extending beyond Bob Myers, a lot of people are wondering what the future looks like, and that may be dependent on how the end of the season goes, how everybody's personal feelings are. I mean, you guys know if you flame out in the play-in and head into the offseason with sour feelings on where this thing might be going at every level of the organization, that oftentimes, and this isn't just with the Warriors, it's all sports, that oftentimes leads to more of a split-up than if they make a surprising run late in the season and everyone comes back healthy and they go to the West Finals, they push for the NBA Finals. Maybe there's more of a kumbaya. There's more money flowing through the organization because of the playoff gate that they rely on in a lot of ways to pay this tax bill. So I think so much, and this includes Bob Myers, depends on what happens moving forward. And then there will be a reassessment period right after the year. And yeah, sure, Bob Myers might be gone. But at this point, from what I've gathered, Bob Myers doesn't even know for sure either way.
Is there a domino effect here in terms of Draymond Green, opt-in, opt-out, and even Steve Kerr and his future based on the way the Bob Myers thing goes?
Yeah, sure, because I think Bob Myers' future will signal, what the future for the organization might be. And, sure, that might bump into Draymond Green's future. Steve Kerr has another year on his contract, which is through next season. Yeah, I mean, I think everything will have a domino effect all the way up into Steph Curry, who still does have a few more years. But this is it feels like a transitional phase around the Warriors, and we'll see how that materializes. And again, I do think these next few months matter because maybe this situation would have been sped up if they had a disappointing season last season, but they rattle off and win the title, and then it's got to stay together if you're doing that.
Yep, that's definitely the feel. Hey, Anthony, great to have you today, man. Thanks so much for doing it.
All right, fellas.
Okay, that's Anthony Slater, our Warriors insider.